Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome from sunny old London. This is Kinesis and the team that are putting together just a little webinar just to touch base, to give you some really important updates. We'd like to thank you for joining us today. It's a highly anticipated event, this one. We've got a lot going on, and everybody's going to cover off a little piece to give you an update. So I'm going to hand over to our panelists today, or one of our panelists, Mr. Andrew Maguire, and Andy's going to just give us a little bit of an intro and say hello to you all. Okay, over to you, Andy.
Yeah, great. I'm just looking at the list here. Great to meet you all. I can see many longtime friends have joined us today for this very important update. Now, as many of you know, I'm very proud to be associated with Kinesis, and it's absolutely fabulous that we see our journey on track for the launch of the game-changing Kinesis Monetary System. Now, for our gold and silver friends, this has been quite a journey. We've always knew that one day the physical market would overrun the insider-run synthetic market price setting mechanisms. But what really excites me as a 40-year gold market veteran is that Kinesis is going to accelerate the determining of a true fair market price for physical precious metals. Now, literally billions of dollars of physical gold and silver is required to monetize a global monetary system like the Kinesis Currency. And we have the necessary, well-proven institutional grade platform and the necessary liquidity to do so. So that's a really important component. But I also know that many joining us today come from the crypto blockchain space. And I consider it our privilege to witness our two worlds coming seamlessly together. Now, Kinesis brings an important element to the trustless blockchain. Now, a global currency that is backed by the oldest and most respected currency known to man, gold and silver. Now, it brings stability to both our worlds. Now, whichever world we come from, we really, what I really view as a momentous point in history. Never before have we, the people, been given the currency that enables us to take back control of what is a global broken banking system. Now, many of my clients, both large and small, as well as a host of others, have found and joined us, even though we've done, Shai will attest to this, we've done almost nothing in the way of marketing. And all of the people who've come on board ahead of the upcoming currency launch to take advantage, what they're taking advantage of is the very attractive Kinesis Velocity Token offering, the KVT. Now, if you've not yet participated, please come and join us. So I've taken enough time, and I'm over to you, Tom, or to Jai.
Thanks a lot, Andy. Always a pleasure, everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in once again. It's been a little while since we connected. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there, and we'll do our best to, answer as many questions as possible. But we do also have a limited amount of time. I also want to do the honor of introducing you to a few of our new team members that are actually on the call. In particular, Patrick Davis and also Nigel Owens. So Nigel joins us as our new CTO. His reputation speaks for himself, and I'll hand it over to him shortly, but he comes across from a very rich background in both the exchange space, also like the banking, finance, and blockchain space as well. So it really touches all the relevant areas that are really important for us. Also, Patrick, he also comes across from exchange and finance background, being the head of legal for ICE, so Intercontinental Exchange based out of the UK, and he's been a welcome addition to the team and has really hit the ground running and got involved in all the various different areas of contention and within the organizations, really sort of helped us out with regards to a number of different things that we'll get into shortly. So yeah, they're the new additions in our executive committee, let's put it that way, and they've certainly sort of, added significantly to the depth of our organisation. And we actually feel very honoured to attract such talent as a startup organisation. Just remember that we're actually a startup. We're not a well-established company with, in this case of Kinesis, with a long proven track record. We're starting this thing up from scratch. We're building everything from scratch pretty much. So let me sort of get into it a little bit. Firstly, I mean, from my perspective, and what I want to talk about today is, obviously I'm going to run through how we're progressing from a developmental standpoint. And this is really the most important thing. Ultimately, are we on track to launch as stated by May? The answer to that is yes, we're on track to launch our first phase core functionality and system by that time, and I'll go into different sort of elements and functions incorporated into our overall system and how we're progressing, and let the team sort of comment as well. And also how we're progressing from a partnership perspective as well. So it astounds me every day, the conversations that I have surrounding our system. Really, it is quite phenomenal. And these conversations are being had at all different levels. Whether it be the corporate institutional level, or also just, like private investor level as well. And, I'm really proud to report that there's conversations being had at all different levels, and the deals that are being done and the progress that's happening at the governmental and institutional level. For a startup company, it certainly has exceeded my expectations. I don't know about your expectations, but all my expectations have certainly been blown away. And how these conversations are being had, certainly it's very honoring to be having these conversations and been doing these deals at these different levels. But for a startup company, it's something really profound, and it really shows, I think, the state of the industry. I mean, this industry, the blockchain industry, and how we've married it up with the old established money, universal money, effectively. It's sort of proven that our model is right, and we have a model that is appropriate at the governmental and corporate level. So obviously, as Andy was saying, and as I've said many times before, we've got the greatest store of value, the greatest money that the world's ever seen, and we've brought it into, the most efficient global system that the world's ever seen. And then once again, added on that sort of third dimension of incentivizing everyone to actually participate in the system. And to see that model come to fruition, become a reality, and move away from just being sort of a high in the sky vision is something very rewarding for both myself and our team. And I think for everyone participating in the system, it will be extremely rewarding for you as well, from many different perspectives. One, seeing all of our vision sort of come to reality, and two, to actually, make some money out of it as well, be rewarded for our participation in it. So on the technology side, I'm pleased to be able to announce to you that we're progressing very, very well. And what Nigel has done with the team it's been very impressive. And I'll hand it over to him now, and I'll make a brief comment after he finishes. So Nigel, welcome, and I'll hand it over to you now.
Thank you very much, Tom, and welcome to everybody on the webinar. We are progressing, as Tom has mentioned. We are making good headway. We are on track for our March release of the minting process functionality. There are many aspects of that which we have delivered on our testing now, fully regression testing, the KAU side of the network, the KAG side of the network, KCX itself, the wallet, the minting application end to end, its settlement and emission processes, and the actual physical for digital aspects of it. All of this is on track and ready for March, and that will be a significant release for us. We're excited about that. The team are working well for that, but there are also other aspects of the team that are working ahead and are starting to push well into the other aspects of the monetary system. Areas that are required on those, the API sets we are almost complete upon. The APIs are important to us because obviously they're the core calls for the system, but also for third-party integrations for later dates. So we have interfaces which third parties can connect into, and exchange. We can swap information between and transactions in a seamless fashion. So we are making great headway with that. We continue to strengthen our team, so we're enhancing our capability and reducing our risk within any aspects. If we have any, I don't believe we do. So we are looking and continue to extend our technology base staff. And what is very promising about that is the people we are talking to have been online. They have spoken to people in the industry, as well as doing their own research, and they are too very excited to be joining the team. It's actually quite nice to be working within a business where I come in the morning and I open my inbox and I see people pushing CVs to us saying, this is a great idea. Do you need our services? How can we help? We believe you are breaking new ground. So that's, I think that speaks a lot for the business model itself, and also for the technologies we're using and how we're going to interface with the markets in general. We are also moving into a phase where we are going to start engaging with third parties to audit what we are doing and delivering, so we can continue the high quality and give the user base, the public, the assurance of what we are doing is best practice, that we are not missing any functionalities, that what we are delivering and what we will be delivering is of top quality. Two major aspects that we will audit, which are extremely important, are the deposits and withdrawals, the crypto side, as well as the actual core exchange functionality itself. As soon as we start getting those reports in, it's almost like it's a validation. It's a sanity check that we are doing all the right things at all the right times. So that's very exciting. I'm talking with companies about getting involved in that engagement. The actual technology itself, again, because we forked it off a branch of Stellar, it's proved, tried and tested. We've added our own unique pieces to it, and it's performing outstandingly well. I mean, we are doing order match load testing on it. We are doing all those sort of things, and it's outstanding, the results we're getting. We are extremely pleased. Not that we ever expected not to be pleased, but it's nice to be able to see what we expected is at least being matched, but in 99% of that is being exceeded, and exceeded significantly. So I'm hoping that by the way stuff I'm explaining to you guys should be giving you the feeling of we are on track, we are doing everything to timeline, we are exceeding our expectations with the quality and the delivery of code and applications for the monetary system. So I'm in a very happy place, and I believe my colleagues are too. We will continue on this track, and it's a very exciting time. I think the world will be quite surprised in what we delivered when it comes along. So I thank you very much for your time, and if you do have questions, they will all be collated at some point. I'm sure the relevant ones will come back to me and I can feed them into the machine. But thank you for your time, and I'll hand back to Tom. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Nigel. That's greatly appreciated. And yeah, it's worthwhile mentioning as well that Nigel is in the process of building out our IT team in various different locations around the world. At the moment, we're beefing up the team in London, and also looking at other locations around the world to potentially add to. So we're on a rapid recruitment process and expansion at this point to help increase the velocity from a developmental perspective, and to maintain that sort of development and velocity going forward. There'll be constant development in what we're doing and expansion as we add new functionality and new modules into everything that we're doing. Yes, we're launching in May, but everything is going to keep on developing, and new functionality will be coming online at different points in time as we go forward into the future. Okay, so moving on now, let's talk about the Kinesis Debit Card, which we have some very exciting news on, and you're going to hear much more shortly. But who's been sort of heading up that project to a certain degree is Mr. Ryan Case, our Chief Commercial Officer, who's also on the line. Ryan, should I hand it over to you for you to comment on how we're going with the debit card and what exactly is happening there?
Yeah, thank you, Tom, and yeah, great to be here today, and thanks for all those that are listening. From the sales and commercialization side of the business, it's been a big few weeks, certainly. As many have seen, we've recently released a product preview, and we've had a great response to this. So it's been great to show everyone a preview of the technology that we've got coming. And excitingly, next up, we've got the Kinesis Debit Card. So we're very close to getting this card out by our partners, Unified Signal, and it's going to be under the brand of Kinesis Pay. Initially, we're going to get this live to US residents only, and only for funding and spending in US dollar terms. We've decided to do this so that we can get these cards in the hands of our community as soon as possible, and to show that we've already got all the required elements in place to start rolling out our Kinesis Debit Card. Then, from the launch of the Kinesis Monetary System in May 2019, we're going to be integrating the gold and silver elements with Kinesis Pay via the Kinesis Monetary System, allowing for the spending and integration of the currencies on the card. So these two things, Kinesis Pay and Kinesis Monetary System, are effectively two separate applications, right? We've got but providing the same sort of debit card element. So we've got the Kinesis Monetary System communicating with Kinesis Pay via an API, such as Nigel's been referring to earlier from the tech elements. So getting this additional Kinesis Pay technology live allows us to potentially bring in clients from Unified Signal's extensive corporate client base, because these clients may already have their technology live with them. So we're also now going to be working to add more supported regions, in line with our expansion timelines outside of the US. So those are our next steps there too.
Okay. You finished, Ryan?
That's me. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, so just to sort of sum up what Ryan is saying there, effectively what we're doing, everyone, is we're about to have a solution live in the very near future, and we'll have a dedicated website or web page up for Kinesis Pay. Jai can probably comment further in a little bit, and people will be able to go there. US residents or citizens will be able to, not US residents, will be able to go there, actually sign up for a card. Yes, it doesn't have the gold and silver currencies interfaced in at this point in time, but at least it shows a live functioning Kinesis Pay debit card. Then everyone who has that card in the future will be able to obviously be interfaced into our extended integrated solution. But it shows that we got something live. We're getting actual users into the system, people using the card. We'll be getting, market feedback, everything like that, very, very soon. So this is a little surprise, I guess, launch that's happening. We're about to go live with a solution. So that's exciting. Okay, next up is the Kinesis Blockchain Exchange. Now, as we sort of touched on from our sort of holistic overview from a technological standpoint, we're on track for this to be live with its sort of, first phase form in May from a technology standpoint. But also we've been busy analyzing jurisdictions around the world in which to actually domicile this actual business unit. So for everyone who's familiar with Kinesis, we really have various different business units within our system. And for risk mitigation purposes, they should all be incorporated into different entities. So in the case of the Kinesis Blockchain Exchange, we've been analyzing which jurisdiction is best for that, and spearheading that, I guess, analysis has been Patrick Davis, our new general counsel, and so I'll hand it over to him to actually comment on the Kinesis Blockchain Exchange domicile. Patrick?
Great. Thank you very much, Tom. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here to have the opportunity to sort of give you an update as to where we've got to in relation to the Kinesis Blockchain Exchange, or KB as we describe it internally. So people will no doubt be aware of a ramping up in the regulatory focus on the crypto asset space. Looking at last year, the HMT, Bank of England and FCA joint task force undertook a study into crypto assets, and certainly the FCA issued a consultation document earlier on this year in relation to crypto assets, and further ESMA have been offering advice in relation to ICOs and crypto assets. Sorry, my camera's being readjusted to ensure that my full beauty's shared with the nation. So there you go. So well, within this context, we've been undertaking a lot of analysis. We've been engaging with external counsel, with relevant regulators, getting a sense of the way in which these different national regulators are looking to put in place bespoke national regimes for crypto assets. It's been a long and involved process. You'll all be aware of the different publicity around the different jurisdictions. What we've been doing is being motivated by ensuring that we're going to have a good regulated product available at launch in May. We're looking to sort of analyze jurisdictions based upon the level of regulatory engagement, opportunity for licensing and similar, the sort of user friendliness of the regulatory environment, the timings associated with consideration of different applications and turnaround and issue of licenses, the geographical location and the familiarity of the jurisdiction, and the sort of established crypto digital currency interest within the jurisdictions. So it's been a long and involved exercise. It's taken a number of different jurisdictions, but it's been very interesting, very enjoyable, and it's been a rewarding experience engaging with external counsel and local regulators as well, to get insights and a sense of excitement that's really out there as well in relation to this sort of product. So we're hoping to be able to announce in the next couple of weeks a sort of decision, and giving more detail around timelines and similar at that stage. So I think that concludes my overview. But any questions that come in, I'll look to sort of respond to as appropriate.
Thanks a lot for that, Patrick. And we'll provide further analysis and further commentary on this in the near future. We're about to make a final decision, and we're very happy with this final decision. And so we'll be able to provide, more commentary on, I guess, the full corporate framework and how it will look in the very, very near future. Okay, so so moving on now. Let me just bring something up here. What do we have next? Jai, you have the structure more at hand, perhaps. So, yeah, that's right. Moving on to address a question that has been given to us a few times, actually, over the last little while, and really want to nip this in the bud so everyone understands our position internally here, and so you can understand as well. And I'll just provide a very brief comment from my perspective and then hand it over to Jai, because he can provide a significant amount of color on this. Okay, so as everyone knows that, even for, in 2018, I guess the crypto market started the year with a bang and then really petered off, really sort of died. Let's put it that way, with some down like 95%. Despite all of that, during our pre-sale, we were able to sell around $55 million or whatever it was of KVTs. And then since then, we've nudged up to around 60 million. And that is without any real concerted effort at all to market. We've done some interviews, attended a few conferences, nothing too crazy, and we've done just a little bit of marketing. Now, and just really, I would say more so through word of mouth has, there been, we've spread that way. Now, with regards to the KVTs, as most people on here would understand, we are really quite different and unique in the crypto / blockchain space. One, to buy a KVT is $1,000, $1,000 US, which is much more than the other coins out there, which in many cases are less than $1. So in that case, all these small coins, they go out and they try to get like every mum and dad and whomever, all the crypto speculators from all around the world to invest in. We've really targeted a different kind of investor, a more sophisticated and professional type of investor to come in and to understand our system, because our system is very, very sophisticated. And with that, as you know, we've raised enough capital to date to meet our vision. And what everyone needs to understand is the amount of KVT investors is not in any way, shape, or form illustrative of buy-in or support for the system that we will be launching. Now, we have and this is, I'm about to hand it over to Jai, but to market a KVT investment is something very different to market the Kinesis blockchain system, monetary system, I'm sorry, because to get someone to, basically invest at least 1,000, and, a lot of people out there in the world cannot even afford 1,000, so they're immediately eliminated. But into a new industry, they need to a certain degree, speculate. A lot of people don't have the time to understand the system in its entirety and understand whether it's a good investment to risk their capital on. That's a very different kind of decision, and a very different acquisition cost from a marketing perspective than it is to subscribe to a system which improves and makes everyone's life easier, which is the monetary system and banking system that we're about to offer. They don't need to risk capital, and they can be rewarded for it as well. So they're two very, very different decisions to make. And from a customer acquisition or investor acquisition perspective, they have very different costs. So the costs of acquiring a KVT investor from a marketing perspective are infinitely higher. So, we can go out and market to the masses now but every single investor that we bring in, it costs money because you've got to market. We've got to spread the word, whether it be from a PR perspective, from a marketing perspective. And we've got all of our functions set up in a way where we're able to analyze all the different demographics and geographic regions and what it actually costs to acquire different customers. And we're at a place where we've got enough capital. So we're going to keep acquisition costs low for customers. Because they're going to be so much lower, infinitely lower when it comes to the monetary system. I mean, for example, we've done partnership deals, which I'll get into in a second, that bring online millions of users into the monetary system. These partnership deals equate to over 100 million users coming into the monetary system. I mean, it's just a significantly different type of user or investor. Let's put it that way. So anyway, I've probably said enough on that. Let me hand it over to Jai to comment just from the marketing perspective and to give you insight there. Jai, over to you, buddy.
Sure, thanks, Tom. I mean, there's not really much more to say on that, other
sorry,
than the fact that's fine. I mean, look, it comes down to an example like, you know, you've got billions of people using an iPhone. You don't have billions of people investing in Apple. Just to reiterate what Tom is saying, we have two aspects to this: the Kinesis Velocity token, which the entry point and the ticket price and the entry point there is you know, quite high, and it's going to attract a certain segment. And what we're really doing in marketing now is focusing on user acquisition from the monetary system side of things, because obviously it's about stimulating the use of that monetary system that's going to obviously pay dividends in the respect of the Kinesis Velocity token yields and things like that. So I'm not going to, you know, color too much more in here because Tom's sort of really covered off, you know, the aspects of where our focus is at the moment. And obviously our technology coming closer and closer to fruition, we're going to now have an interface, or we're now going to have an actual product to market. We can start to generate, you know, put revenue and generate incomes and create and stimulate use of the system as these things are rolled out. So, I mean, I think it's better, Tom, if you could just cover off on the partnerships before we head out. And
sure.
just one thing I wanted to cover while I've got the opportunity, guys. I can see all your questions here. There's some great questions that are coming up on the chat here. There's some interesting questions and some questions that really highlight, you know, that a good strong follow-up email is really needed. So post this webinar, I'll take all of these questions. We'll get the team to sort of, you know, contribute, try and answer them all where relevant. And then what I'll do is a bulk email out to everybody on this webinar, try and get all of these questions answered. So don't hold back, put everything up there, and we'll try and get through a lot of it. Over to you, Tom, on partnerships.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll cover off on two things. Firstly, we've got some news coming out in the not too distant future. We'll be announcing a plethora of different things. But we announce everything at the right time as well. So there's a lot of development going on behind the scenes, a lot of partnerships being done that for whatever reason, it might not be strategically beneficial for it to be in the public domain, and we just ask for everyone to accept this. Ultimately, we're doing our best in a fast-moving, emerging industry to really lock in all strategic benefits and advantages that we may have. And we're not going to flag post necessarily at all points in time exactly where we are. I mean, we're in the developmental phase. What everyone should understand is that this solution will be launched and then we'll let the numbers talk for themselves. Okay, so let us bring everything together to get as strong as possible during this process. And, you know, we can't be in this sort of live newsfeed sort of position where, you know, giving commentary on our day-to-day corporate activity. That way we would lose all strategic advantages that we would have as an organization, as a corporation, and just flag post it to everyone else who we're potentially competing against. And considering, exactly what we're doing and the disruptive nature of our company, it's not going to put us in a strong position to be, providing ongoing commentary of all of our development or of all of our partnerships. In fact, some of the biggest and most powerful partnerships and developments that we have, they need to be kept under wraps for the time being. And we just hope everyone appreciates that. These things will come to the fore in due course, but if, and I can understand like the frustration and not knowing exactly what's going on, but I ask you to trust in our team and to understand that this is the best thing for the system and for our company that I'm sure almost everyone on this call is actually part of as a participant. Okay, so I want to comment on a few things. We've put together like an all-star cast of an advisory committee, which I'll also comment why that's important from different perspectives. Hang on one second. And also, and yeah, why that's important. And we're about to announce a number of different participants in this advisory committee. One in particular, which, okay, because it's not publicly announced yet, I won't name the actual name, but it's an ex-regulator out of the United States. And so that provides, a lot of, I guess, influence and credibility to our organization from various different perspectives. We've got members of royal families who have joined. We've got some of the top players at the United Nations. We've got a number of others who are some, partners that we've gone ahead with out of spaces such as like healthcare, for example. One is considered like the godfather of healthcare in the United States. We're about to do a release and name all these different names and get those out there, and what that actually does is, one, from the retail investor perspective, it provides a lot of credibility to these people are ultimately putting their names and reputations behind the company. And they're doing so mainly because they believe in the company and not for any other reason, actually. Second, from an institutional standpoint, it provides a much easier sort of gateway to get through due diligence committees, where in like a due diligence committee where pretty much everyone's employed to press the no button. This and if they don't press the no button at the right time, they lose their job. This case, when you see big names, when you see credible names putting their name and reputation behind a certain organization, it provides a lot easier ability for a due diligence team to actually press the yes button. So it assists in the due diligence process. And this is really helpful for us at the moment because we're having a lot of governmental, we're doing governmental deals and we're doing institutional deals as well. So moving on, we have also been, and some of these deals will be represented actually at some point in the KVT sales. Probably shouldn't have said that, but anyway, I said it. So, it might be investment deals into the company, institutional investment deals. It might be partnership deals, etc., etc. But the deal flow is really, really coming in thick and fast. And we're trying to sequentially prioritize it as far as, we can only deal with onboarding a certain amount of partners at a certain point in time. And then there's a strategically correct time to go public with it. The next thing I want to talk to you about is, okay, so yeah, I've mentioned that, you know, these deals are happening at the governmental and the institutional level. You all know about sort of our Indonesian ties. That's been firmed up, and we will be sort of going live and going out to tens of millions of Indonesians and other users throughout the world through some of these partnerships. So partnership with like Jakarta Futures Exchange, PT POS, the post office, and there's a few more that will be coming out as well, which are very, very big deals. In addition to that, we continue to work with a number of other influential conglomerates, I would say, throughout Europe, and also influential players. And this is really at the top level, at the royal family level, at the governmental level, going, you know, it goes on from there. Once again, I'm not really in a position to provide deep details apart from, you know, you'll see statements come out in the public arena, and we appreciate your patience as far as that goes. So yeah, from my perspective, just to sum it all up, I wanted to bring on you know, different members of our executive committee. As you know, Andy's been with us since the very beginning, helping to get the word out there. Him and I are about to start the interviews again after quite a quiet patch. And we're about to, you know, give it a good sort of little ramp up into the KVT close. Obviously, you know, I'll talk about the KVT investment in a second, but you know, I also wanted to bring online to show the, you know, the depth of the operation with our other team members as well, and introduce obviously Patrick and Nigel, and you know, let everyone know that things are coming along really nicely from our perspective. There's been a little bit of a lull in the crypto industry, which is, call it a crisis of confidence. That doesn't affect us in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I'd say more than anything, it's been very welcomed by us because it's weeded out all this speculative hype. And to be honest, with the crash in the crypto markets, even some of these organizations who raised, you know, like maybe 20 million, 30 million, etc., going back in late 2017, early 2018, some of those were left holding their crypto assets. And with a 95% fall in crypto assets, they're left with basically no funding. So what that means is it's allowed organizations such as ourselves to really, because we're strong, to triumph over the others. It's made our job easier, let's put it that way. I think ultimately, no matter however you slice it, we'll be launching, and I think everyone's going to be happy with the solution that we launch. I don't think anyone can complain with the partnerships that we've been putting together, and they'll be steadily announced going forward into the future. I mean, I'm blown away by the partnerships that we're doing ultimately, and the integrations that we're doing into millions of users, into tens of millions of users, and then to ultimately, you know, provide that ability to actually use Kinesis as a currency. That's the main thing, and to do their everyday banking, you know, money transfers, payments, whatever you like, you'll be able to do it through our system. So let me. Great, my hotel phone is ringing. I'm here in Barcelona at the moment. So let me sum up by saying that, as everyone knows, there's not too long left to be investing in KVTs. You make your own decision whether it's a good investment or not, but forevermore, the KVT holders will receive 20% of the fees out of the system, of the top line revenue out of the system. So that's really, I mean, it's an amazing investment. And you know, once these things are sold, they're sold. And let's just say there are discussions underway to actually, you know, for large parties to invest in a lot of them. We've held back this large interest. So it's not like the interest isn't there. It requires a very, very significant decision on our behalf to sell a large percentage of the KVTs to, say, one party or a consortium of parties and give them such control. So we're trying to do the right thing by the system users. We're trying to make it as fair a system as possible. Ultimately, it's the costs. We made a decision to have a high KVT cost, mainly because we knew that our system would require for KYC to be conducted for KVTs in most jurisdictions around the world, or all jurisdictions around the world. And there's costs associated with KYCing users. And with that being the case, and there's obviously administration costs and everything like that, we didn't want there to be such a small threshold for investment. So and put us into a cash flow negative position, which just weakens the company. We're corporate executives at the end of the day, and we understand that the only way that the company survives is if the company actually makes money. So we're not going to be selling a KVT for $1 if it costs $20, $30, $100 to actually onboard that user, that investor. So with that in mind, that's the reason why we made KVTs at such a high price, and we certainly have no regrets on that side. We've got the capital we require. Of course, we'd welcome more, and we can do more with more. We can do, strategic partnership deals. We can have, more market-making capital, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's probably enough from me right now. Let me just say that, thank you very much for joining the call. We tried to keep it short and sweet, but also run through where we are. I hope that you understand that things are full steam ahead from our perspective and looking very good. It's a clear seas ahead. So and we'll look to basically reconnect in the not too distant future. We probably should be doing it more, but everyone's been so busy on our end actually. I'm going to be participating in things like the UN summits and that sort of thing. You might have seen that I participated in one UN summit. I'm likely going to be co-chairing a committee out of the United Nations, so you might see my face popping up in such forums going forward in the blockchain space, and becoming more of a spokesperson, influential spokesperson in the space. So anyway, we look to reconnect very, very soon. Thank you very much for dialing in. Is there anything further anyone wants to say from our end? Jais, is that it from our end?
I think from that end, it ties up everything. I have the questions from everybody, some good ones in there, and I think it's good.
Perfect. So we've got your questions, and we will endeavor to answer them as soon as possible in a timely fashion. So thank you very much for everyone tuning in, and look forward to talking again with you shortly. Thank you.